Hello there and welcome to the Monday episode of Business Nigeria. I am Tolulokpe Ogunjobi. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, let's start with the story that says the Central Bank of Nigeria says any bank that fails to publish its annual accounts 12 months after the year and will have its chief executive officer sacked. Well, the CBN in its 2018-2019 monetary credit, foreign trade and exchange guidelines warns that it will continue to hold chairmen and managing directors of banks responsible. The Apex Bank also directed all banks, discount houses, and their subsidiaries to continue to adopt December the 31st as their accounting year end. The policy aligns with the provisions of the Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA 1991, which requires banks to subject to the written approval of the CBN, publish their audited financial statements, financial position, and comprehensive income not later than 4 months after the end of each financial year. 11 senior World Bank officials are billed to visit Edo, Lagos State, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on an impact assessment tour of the bank's developmental projects in the country. The delegates will review activities to determine the feasibility of extending more support to some of the programs funded by the bank, Bretton Woods institution, in the country. The World Bank will focus on social development, agriculture, amongst others, in rural areas. This includes the Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Project, Community and Social Development Program, FADAMA, Development Projects, amongst others. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council has commended First City Monument Bank for executing initiatives that drive export trade, particularly non-oil exports in the country. The action of the banks, according to the stakeholders, has gone a long way to impact positively on various initiatives of the federal government to diversify and develop the nation's economy in a sustainable manner. Executive Director of NEPC, Olusegun Awolowo, says FCMB has demonstrated commitment and support towards the promotion of non-oil exports. Well, to our trust for today. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced the cashless policy, which stipulates a cash handling charge on daily cash withdrawals that exceed 500,000 for individuals and 3 million for corporate bodies. The policy on cash withdrawal in banks aims to at reducing the amount of physical cash circulating in the economy and encouraging more electronic-based transactions. The policy was introduced to drive development and modernization of Nigeria's payment system in line with its 2020 goal of being amongst the top 20 economies. It also aims to reduce cost of banking services and improve the effectiveness of monetary policy in managing inflation and driving economic growth. Well, joining me to put this into perspective, I have with me the Chief Executive Officer of TeamApt Limited, Tosin Eniolorunda. Thank you very much for joining us, Tosin.
Thank you very much, Tolu.
Let me start this way in straight terms. What would you say is the impact of the central bank policy to the lifestyle of people generally in this part of the world?
I think the central bank's initiative in the cashless, policy is very laudable. So far today, the impact of the policy has been very good. The cost of cash handling has gone down. There is now an increase in POS usage. There is also reducing the cost of ATM acquiring, in all the banks. So to this end, I would say that it has also curbed a lot of fraud. The fraud rates have gone down significantly, and I would say the banking and payments, the division of Central Bank of Nigeria, has done a very, very good job.
Even with some of the challenges we really faced too initially?
Well, yes, I would say these challenges are getting better, certainly. 100 Naira was reduced to 65 Naira, 50 Naira. So POS usage is now a lot more now. Your cards work almost everywhere these days. There is now something like M-Cash that's being posted by NIBS. In fact, even the industry has exploded. That's why even people like us have like a company and we're employers of labor. So, and I'll also say today, Nigeria is one of the top economies with respect to, cashless. For example, the instant payment system. It will shock you to say Nigeria is advanced countries like US, for example, are just getting on board with respect to transferring funds from one account to another and getting instant value. So yes, so basically, and this is as a result of the CBN's, cashless policy, which was executed by NIBS.
Indeed, we'll still go to how you formed your company and talking about that. Now let's look at the Digital Pay Expo.
Yeah,
a lot about cashless and all of this.
Yes,
is there not? Why are you being part of that at this time?
Okay, arguably, I would say this expo is one of the one of the biggest expo in this industry. It pulls in together all the banks, all the service providers, even the regulators. So, I mean, we being who we are, we being, you know, one of the premium providers of digital banking, it makes a lot of sense to be part of it. And we think that in doing this, we can bring together everybody, you know, in creating a team, in creating an expo where there's a lot of learning and where there's a lot of sharing of ideas. Not just for commercial purposes, also just for improving the whole industry as a whole. So I think, you know, this year's one, we are trying to be part of it so that, you know, we'll put in our own quota.
Indeed. Now let's look at the role of your organization, talking about towards this cashless economy initiative and all of that. Tell us the role you really play.
Okay, yeah, so basically what we do, we provide digital banking solutions and payment infrastructure. What this really means is the applications that some of our clients, which are majorly banks, give to their customers. And these customers can be the retail, which is like the guy on the street, or which can be the bank or on the bank, or even the businesses, corporates, or merchants, people that have shops. What our organization do is we provide solutions for these banks that help them service their own clients, such that the cost of service is reduced. Now, one of the biggest impediments to financial inclusion in serving people on the street is the cost of service. If it's going to take, I mean, banks are commercial entities, and if it doesn't make sense or commercial sense to serve somebody and make a profit, they will not. Yes. So what our organization do is we provide solutions and, you know, payment infrastructure. By payment infrastructure, it means like back-end services that these banks can use in ensuring that they deliver value for their own customers towards meeting the cashless initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I would say we did this together for close to about 17 banks today. Yes, and this is in a period of close to about 3 years, about less than 3 years of operations.
And you work 17 banks.
Absolutely.
That's really, really, really great. You also talk about, you know, tell us more, the staff strength. You also be able to empower people.
Yes, yes. Today we are about 45. Great. In number, and I would also like to say this, that we have not raised funds yet. This is not, this is a different narrative to what we know about, you know, startups today. A lot of startups raise a lot of capital, and at the end of the day, you know, they don't materialize. So we decided to take a different approach, which is the approach of actually creating value. We believe that value is going to be rewarded by customers, and so far our customers have rewarded us so far in growing to that size. So today we majorly employ software engineers, product managers, as well as, you know, sales officers. Yeah.
Quite impressive there, I must tell you to say. Well, now let's look at digital innovations in itself entirely. Yeah. In the kind of economy we have now, how do you see this driving, you know, driving the national economy in its entirety?
Okay, all right. So basically, digital innovation with respect to, say, financial systems specifically, it's really about, you know, there's this saying that water will always find its level. And the level that water wants to find in this, you know, perspective is people want to have financial services at the cheapest cost possible. And people also want it as fast as possible. And people want it easy. So every innovation that we're going to be seeing is one that will be giving means in which people will have it cheaply, quickly, and easily. So let us talk about, for example, agent banking and how agent banking, you know, can assist in doing this. What agents do is they are on the street, and anybody can just walk up to them and, you know, access financial services, from seeing their account balances to doing transfers to paying their bills. Before there were agents, people will probably need to call someone, if that's for the underbanked, people that are not in the normal banking systems, or maybe travel miles to the nearest bank branch. But a digital innovation like empowering an agent who stays like on the field to give services to this guy, you know, it's an example of such. The lingo is called agent banking, you know. Is an example of such. So what digital innovations that we should be expecting are systems in which financial services will be provided to the people, to the merchants, and to the corporates through banks and financial technology software companies in a way that's going to be easier, faster, and cheaper. I believe that is the summary of everything. So some of the specifics will be on things like blockchain technology, will be on things like agent banking, we'll be on things like full digital banking, which is like a consolidated view, you know, for banks and individuals to see their financial status. And it also includes, you know, things like channels to pay on web, on POS, as well as, you know, through ATM. So the expectation today is people should expect products that will make their lives easier by making it easier, faster, and cheaper for them to provide financial services.
So let's take this break. I know we still have a lot to talk about. This is getting really interesting. We'll take a break and we'll be back and this discussion continues. Stay with Business Nigeria. Thank you for staying with us. Well, we're still looking at issues surrounding cashless policy and also digital innovations in banking and all of financial services. And I have the Chief Executive Officer, Team Apt, here, Tosin Eniolorunda, giving perspective, you know, putting all of this into straight terms for us to understand. Now, back to the Digital Expo. You talked about people coming together, you know, to brainstorm, to share ideas. What do you think should really be, let's say, the trust, and where would you be found at that expo?
Okay, so there's an expectation that you're going to have a majority of the banks, you're going to have a majority of the local fintechs, you're going to have a majority of the international fintechs. So we are a premium sponsor, so we will be found in the Expo Center. We have a booth there. Once you walk in, I think you could take a turn to your left. You should be seeing our booth. We'll have members of our marketing team and sales team all around to guide you through this. You can join us, you know, walk in and understand some of the products that we have and how we can, you know, improve your services with respect to providing financial systems and digital payment systems as well. So, absolutely.
At the end of this meeting, we should expect a better, how we put it, digital, financial innovation and all of that. We should expect more innovations because when experts come together, something good has to come out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the end of this whole expo, we should expect new ideas to be formed.
Right,
we should expect new policies to also be formed. And as a matter of fact, some of the products that we have come up with, we got some of the ideas, you know, in the previous digital expos. We should also expect, you know, regulation to understand some of the pains that people are going through because they are going to listen to the people and they're also going to listen to the banks right in this expo. So it's going to be worth everybody's time.
Like question, everybody's going to get answers to questions immediately.
Absolutely.
Well, let me stop there. Tosin Eniolorunda, Chief Executive Officer, Team Apt Limited. Thank you very much for spending your time for us in Business Nigeria today.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, then in other stories, the United Nations World Tourism Organization says it will help with technical support to improve on its statistics of tourism in Nigeria. This was made known during a follow-up visit of the UN technicians to the Minister of Information and Technology and Culture, I beg your pardon, Lai Mohammed, at its office in Abuja. Lead team of the technical team, David MC, always stressed the need for coordination and cooperation through government support in order to help improve Nigeria's tourism master plan.
About 2006, I think we had the first consultant who came in 2016, and now this is a follow-up mission.
Text that because coordination and cooperation is so important, I think it gives me great confidence that, you know, potential coordination and cooperation can certainly occur here in what is a very, very large and very dynamic economy. Specifically, what I'm doing is, as I say, I'm a technician. I'm actually meeting with the main stakeholders, and I've had some very interesting discussions here with Duncan Chise, and I'm meeting with people and really trying to see what statistics are actually available, and therefore what might be gaps, and then discussions about what might be possible to do about the statistics.
All is now set for the commencement of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic program in Ondo State as the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, visits Akure for the official inauguration of the program. The program is aimed at developing small and medium entrepreneurs in the country.
people. The moment we don't marry them together with that economy, the economy is not going to fail. And that's what has led the Vice President's office to have what we call the small, the medium, the micro, medium, and small scale enterprise. And what is it all about? It's about bridging the gap between the federal government agencies and the business owners.
Sorry about the mix-up there. Procurement professionals have called on the National Assembly to apply speed in the passage of the 2018 appropriation bill. Speaking at an event in Lagos, the group says the delay in the passage of the budget has slowed down major economic activities across the country. They added that procurement plays a pivotal role in carrying out executive orders signed by President Muhammadu Buhari early this year that deals with contract planning and execution.
If the budget is not released, then procurement function will find there will be lull in the activities. And procurement plays this vital role. By so doing, we need to actually see how best we can navigate through it. By so doing, even in Ghana, the budget division and procurement department of most MDAs, they are the one that decide what an organization requires and how to place them in budget, because if you are implementing purchasing or procurement, whichever way you call it, you are indirectly implementing the budget.
As far as the executive arm is concerned, the executive arm has pushed, late last year, pushed the proposal, the budget proposal. Whoever is at fault, they know, we may not know, but certainly that is not proper. It wasn't so.
When budget is not signed and people are spending just at will, that is why at the end of the year, you only find out a lot of debt are already earmarked before the budget comes out. Budget is supposed to be passed so that you know your limit and scope of operation.
Members of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria have been charged to uphold the ethics of the profession. President of the institute made this known at the induction ceremony, which took place in Lagos. He explained that a viable tax system is vital to revenue drive for states and the government, federal government. Guest speaker at the event emphasized on the need for Nigerians to be more tax compliant while appealing to government to be accountable to the citizens with regards to making judicious use of funds derived from taxation.
The boom of oil made everybody weak in terms of taxation. People did not, taxation was not pursued. People depended on oil from oil money from Abuja and so on. So tax was not developed. Now it is developing. And that's what we are doing now. What is on in the country today, taxation is taking a center stage. And we want them all to be professionals, to be honest, to be conscientious, to do their job very well.
Continuous education. We begin to simplify our tax law also so that compliance burden is lessened. And that's what we're trying to do. Make the compliance very easy for them. We are simplifying the form that taxpayer will fill to register. We are simplifying the form they need to use to file their returns, and we also remind them when they are due to file returns or make payment. These are some of the things that we need to do. And beyond that also is the government must also use those funds that are collected from citizens to execute projects that are beneficial to the people. When they begin to see the benefit of the taxes they are paying, of course, without too much persuasion, they will be willing to pay more.
The Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mekanti Baru, says the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company is on its way to become Nigeria's top oil and gas exploration and production outfit. Baru added that the NPDC, which is a subsidiary, will soon have its oil production levels move up to 500,000 barrels per day from 230,000 barrels per day it currently produces. Well, crude oil prices at the global market trades mixed on Monday as North American gas market set up for a significant price hike in few months. At the London market, the barrel of the Brent crude steadies at $73 per barrel. OPEC basket Brent trades for $70 per barrel, adding value by about 1%. That's our show. Thank you very much for watching. I am Tolu Lokpe Ogunjobi. We'll still apologize We're trying to reconnect to the stock market. We're bringing you live feeds as usual, better than it used to be. Stay with Business Nigeria. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day.